To preview our game against Brentford, we'll start off with Vinny from Sky.
David, I just wanted to go back to the penalty decision from the weekend. What issues do you have now with the involvement of VAR even in that situation? And have you had any further clarification as to why VAR got involved?
No, I think I still feel the exact same as what I did at the time in the game, was that I thought it was a penalty kick. I was a little bit surprised that he went to VAR at the time, and actually when I saw it in the changing room after the game, I was really surprised he went to VAR. Obviously, we've been in touch to check it out, and we spoke with the PGMOL, and it's gone, it's past now. We can't do any more about it. It's gone. But it was disappointing that we didn't get the decision, but that's the way it goes.
Are you able to expand a little bit on what the PGMOL said back to you and why it was deemed a clear?
No, it's really mainly been with the secretary, Jonathan, here, who spoke with him, and Jonathan's just feeding bits back to me. But look, to be honest, once we didn't get it, I just have to move on. I have to find a way of, hopefully getting some decisions as we go along. But overall, it was we just didn't get it on the day. That was it.
It certainly doesn't dampen the enthusiasm around the place for the performances that have been put in.
No, not at all. I said after the game I was really pleased with the way the players played for long parts. You're not dominate all the games, and you're not play well in all the games, because the Premier League's got teams who are always capable of coming back, and I think we're seeing that more in the Premier League. I think you're seeing teams coming from behind, or teams going behind and then working their way back into games. It was always going to be difficult against Manchester United before the game started, but I thought the players done a brilliant job in many aspects. And look, every point we pick up at the moment is like gold dust for us, and we want to try and keep picking them up.
14 points clear of the bottom three now. I mean, the talk after the weekend was the title race is over and there's an 11-point difference there. I take it you don't feel that your job is over just yet for this season, at least.
Well, I'd like you to say that the last part of that was okay, that the bottom part was fine and the top part wasn't. But the fact of the matter is it's not. Look, we used to always talk about 40 points as managers, and I think because I'm an old one, I think I'm going to keep talking about 40 points. I think 40 points sounds more like the title or the total you always had to sort of attain to get. I think for us at the moment at Everton, whether we're in the bottom three or out of it, I think we've got to try and make sure that we're getting to 40 points or more if we possibly can.
I have to say, after the weekend, I was thinking that it possibly is done for yourselves in terms of staying in the Premier League. But I just wonder how you have to reinforce that message, if indeed you have to reinforce it with the players.
Well, I actually think that the players here have got something to show. I think they've got. I don't think they can. There's nothing to hide behind if that's the case. We're about to get new owners in, so they're all on show really, and they all have to show what they can do, and they have to show to this new manager how they can perform. They've done great for me in the opening games. I'd hate to think that the season for them is only 21, 22 games we've played, whatever it is at the moment. They've got to show that they can play all the games, and the remaining games I think are really important for us.
A lot of the players that you've got, quite a few are out of contract in the summer as well. When are you anticipating that you're going to be making decisions on futures? Because some players, in essence, I suppose, are still playing for the future.
Absolutely, and all the players will want their future sorted out, understand. But I think this club's just got its future sorted out. It's only recently got new owners in who were just beginning to filter into the building and starting to get used to them being around. I've said, and I think the owners have stated more importantly than me, is that look, until we're completely safe, then we're not really looking at MD's contracts. So we'll wait to that point, but hopefully we can do that sooner rather than later.
At the same time, are you able to do any kind of forward planning, looking ahead towards next season?
Yeah, I want to start. I want to be positive, and I want to say that how we're going to be in the Premier League. That's the way I feel, and that's what I'm saying to the players. We've still work to do that, but I do think that we have to start making some initial plans and getting things in place for hopefully another year in the Premier League.
With regards to planning for this game, Lindstrom, how is he after illness?
Well, he had a bit of fever or the flu-like symptoms, which I knew about, and he was struggling with it a little bit. He's recovered from it. Actually, there was a couple of the boys. Tim had it as well, so there was a couple of boys in the camp had a little bit of it. But I think at the moment they're all fine.
Take it, no one else back though.
No one else back. Nathan Patterson has been back training. He's only been back a day, but I think it's going to be too quick for him.
What do you make of Brentford as well? Because their form has kind of flipped a little bit. At the start of the season, it was all about winning at home, and that's flipped somewhat because they haven't won at home for a while, but they're winning away.
Well, isn't Thomas doing an unbelievable job at Brentford when you think about it? And it's not. I wouldn't just say it was this year. I think he's done that for, I don't know, say it's 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know how many years he's been doing it, but certainly since they got promoted. And I remember Brentford, I think they missed out a couple of years, Brentford, in the playoffs, and they didn't quite make it. But certainly since they've come into the Premier League, they've done brilliantly well. They run a really good club. The manager's done a great job, and still continues to do that.
You got to know Thomas at all?
He's not a bad drinker now and again. Yeah, he's not bad, yeah, got to know him a little bit in the Euros. That was good, and it was even better because I didn't have a job at the time, so we could talk away about all sorts then. So it's a bit harder when you both are in work, but he's certainly a very nice fella, and obviously he's doing a good job.
So it's him supplying the wine tomorrow?
Well, I don't know. I think the Danish are big beer drinkers, aren't they? Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Just moving on from the injury situation that you've got at the moment, David, how pleased have you been with the way that the players that you have had have all really pulled together to make sure that you still get the good results?
I think it's been so good how well they've done. And I made reference to it, I think, the other week where the subs came on in one of the games and played really, really well. Can't remember if it was Leicester City or one of the games we played really well, the boys who came off the bench. And that's what we're having to get. We're going to have to build up a squad and a group of players at the moment who's resilient enough to keep us going while we're missing so many of our players and players who would be first team members. But they've done great, the players, they really have. But you have to keep it going, you have to keep the levels up, and not only that, it's the improvement. I'm hoping to see a wee bit of progression in every game. Can we get a little bit better? I thought against Manchester United there was signs that we'd done a lot of good things again. We got a couple of goals, we created another few chances, so we've done a lot of good things, but yet I know there's been a couple of games here where teams have come from behind, so we need to find a way of maybe being able to see games out a little bit better and manage that a bit better.
Thanks, Fraser. We'll go to Julia.
And Idrissa Gana Gueye right now is top of the Premier League table for the most tackles. At 35, he seems to be performing match in, match out at the moment, and given some of those matches are just days apart. How impressive is that, and what does he bring to your side?
Well, I've been really, really pleased with him. His performances have been great. I think all the games, and I've been worried about, sometimes when they're getting to his age, you start to think, are their legs going? Are they not able to compete in all the games? And playing Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, I should say, was always a concern, when they're getting a bit older. But I have to say, he's done really well. I'll always try and look after him, protect him at the right moments when I see fit. But I think he's acting as if he's still a young one and plays that way. You realise he played really well last week as well. Given
the run you're on, is there a little bit of fear factor back about playing Everton? Do you think sides have now started to take a bit more notice?
Well, I hope not. I hope they just treat us the same. I hope they don't think too much about us. But I always think that playing Everton was always a difficult game for MD. When I've been at other clubs, playing Everton was always a tough game, especially at Goodison. So we have to keep that up. I think we've tried to show that. We've had a lot of big games at Goodison so far, which have been great games. And I think mainly for the supporters have been exciting, entertaining, if you want to use that word in some ways. And we've also been quite good on the road at the moment, so if we can keep that going, it would be great. But that's why I think it's difficult to play against Everton. I think it in its pomp, Everton can be a really tough place to come and play.
Just on those decisions, when decisions don't go your way, and then they're obviously been debated in the media and people ask what they think, whether they're former referees, former players, this club has seen apologies in the past for things, and it's too late really as an apology after a game if it's meant drop points. Is it something the club looks at, do you know, and thinks maybe at the end of this season we need to take a bit of a stronger stance on this? Can we take all these examples and say, why does this keep happening?
Well, I think there's been a load of pundits who've all said that they see it being a penalty kick, and I think generally, I think people do think it was a penalty kick. It didn't go our way on the day. Sometimes that happens. So I'm not seeing it as bad as maybe people are seeing it. Not that I didn't. No, I think it was a penalty at the time, and I thought that I don't think you can pull somebody's jersey the way it did and it not be given. Well, certainly the rules I would have been brought up. Pulling somebody's jersey, you would have been automatically either booked or, it would have been a free kick or a penalty kick on this occasion. But I have to say that I think that there's not much that I don't think Everton Football Club can do. We have to accept the rules, which we do. We can complain about it, but what can we do? Don't get any more from it. So you just hope that somewhere along the line we might get one which is maybe worthy of something and helps us a little bit.
And it's the 7th of December, the last time Brentford won at home. When a side is on a run like that on a home form, for you as a manager, does that change how you approach it, knowing that they're desperate to sort of turn it around at home?
Well, I think Thomas Frank will see his team showing signs of improvement. They're certainly their form in a couple of games. They've just won at West Ham and they've just won away at Leicester. So he'll see that as something to build on in trying to get his team back into shape at home. I have to say, MD, who's been in the game, any of the managers who've managed at Brentford and against Thomas Frank's Brentford's team, I think would always say Brentford's been a really tough place to go and win. I don't see it being any different this week. I don't really care about the run, their bad run they're on. I have to say I hope it continues at home, but I see them being a good side, and I think they're showing some good form at the moment.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Julia. What about Shamoon?
How you doing?
Just on the PGMOL, has there been an apology this time or any sort of admission of wrongdoing from them?
No, the club and the PGMO have been in touch and they're speaking. So I don't think there's any further more to say about that at the moment. I don't know if that changes in time, but look, it's nearly is that a week ago now, 3 or 4 days ago. So it's still short time that maybe we hear something. But I do think that again, just repeating myself, but just saying, I think most people are pretty much aware that it looked like a penalty kick. The referee gave it, and I still don't really quite understand why that would have gone to VAR. And you just hope that the people in the VAR office are experienced people and people who know what they should be looking for.
Yeah, there's a general feeling of disappointment of only getting a point from that game. Show how far the club have come since you've returned here.
I think any team who are disappointed only getting a point against Manchester United, and I know it may be a Manchester United in a different period at the moment, but I still think that the name, the history, all the things that go along with Manchester United mean that you're up against all those other things as well as just the team they've got at the moment. So yeah, we were disappointed. We're disappointed that we gave it away, because we actually felt that up until the free kick, I think the free kick was 69 or 70 minutes when they scored the free kick, I didn't really think that Manchester United had really given us any big problems at all. And the free kick really changed the game, which Bruno scored. And then we had a little bit of a tight period at the end, but then it looked as if that maybe we were going to get away with it with a penalty, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, and being 14 points clear of the bottom three has already been mentioned, but it's only 8 points to 10. Mm-hmm. So do you only start reassessing when you hit that 40-point mark, do you think?
I think I want to try and chase whoever teams are above us down if I can do. But let's remember, I'm not losing my place here at all. I hope that I might do later on, but the point I want to make about it is to say, us to be a Premier League team, when I came in here, felt really uneasy. Injuries, what it felt like when I came into the building, around the club. It certainly doesn't feel that way. It feels like we're a team who are on the up and a team who are trying to push to the middle half of the table. And I hope that is the case, I really do. But I'm also got the little bit here, I've just still got to do a job and make sure that we're in the Premier League.
Are you surprised at how quickly you've been able to turn it around?
In some ways, yes. I have to be honest with that and say yes. Because, you see managers coming in, and I use a wee bit of manager bounce and say maybe it's that. I'm hoping that's not the case, because I've been here a long time before, and I think really, if we're being honest, it's okay saying me coming in. I think maybe the whole club, the players have got a lift from new ownership. The thought that there's a new stadium very close in the future. I think all those things might be giving a lot of people a lift. What I need to do is change the levels of the team, get the quality, get what we're doing up and lift it up so that the team can perform well. Because the crowd have been fantastic in the games at the moment, and I think in many ways they're probably enjoying seeing the team play just now.
Yeah, and finally, you've been quite glowing of Brentford and how they've done in the Premier League. Appear to be quite a stable club, well run. Is that the sort of club Everton should aspire to be?
I'm going to say no to that answer. I think they're a great run club, Brentford Football Club, and I think that they have what they've done over the years is remarkable in what they've done. But I think Everton have got bigger aspirations than Brentford. I really do. I think we've got, me personally, I'd like us to be challenging up near the top end of the league rather than near the bottom, and that's nothing to do with Brentford. It's to do with my thoughts. But obviously, step by step, Brentford have had to go step by step to get probably the recognition they deserve with how they've done since they've been promoted. Here at Everton, we need to try and find a way of getting back into the big time, really, and we had to find a way of doing that. And I don't think it'll be in one fell swoop. I think it's more likely to be done sort of gradually also.
Thanks, Sinead. Any further questions in the open section before we move on? Okay, thank you.